very nice to have the opportunity to tell you today about our Business Working Responsibly mark, which is Ireland's independently audited international standard for CSR and sustainability. Before we get into the details of the mark, I thought it might be helpful for you to hear a little bit about business in the community, and then those who have the mark, why they do it, and what the benefits are in their view. So we'll be going through a number of things. So first up on Business in the Community Ireland, we're the lead organisation in Ireland on corporate responsibility and sustainable business practice. Our purpose is to inspire, support, but also challenge our member companies to integrate responsible business practices company-wide. We also support all of our members to measure and strategise their impact in the workplace, environment, marketplace and community so that their performance is continually improved. And I'll be chatting to you in more detail about what falls under each of those headings, such as marketplace and community. We've 86 of the top 100 companies within our core membership, and actually hundreds more involved in our business action on education and business action on employment programs. I'll just give you a chance to digest the list. I work as part of our member services team, which really supports with our members, advising and guiding them on CSR and sustainability, on their strategy development and practice improvement, and we do that primarily through the Business Working Responsibly mark. But I have colleagues who work in business action on education and business action on employment as well. And just to take a little bit on each of those. So you'll see under business action on education, there's career mentoring at second level. That actually, just to synopsise it briefly, is centred on the Skills at Work programme. So if you like, this programme is funded by the Department of Education and Skills and is part of adding value to their school completion programme, where it started with designated disadvantaged schools, but it's actually broadened beyond that now, where they're matched to a business. And the students 5th and 6th year get an insight into the world of work in that company. They get to do a site visit. They get to meet people doing different job roles, and they get to find out from them what the career paths are into those different job roles. Then they get support with writing a CV, they get to do mock interviews, and for some of the partnerships that are in place, students actually get to do paid work experience over the summer. Depends on the company. But if you like, can you believe it, there are 340 schools business partnerships in place nationally, and since that programme began in 2001, it has impacted over 37,000 students up and down the country. And in fact, it has contributed to Ireland's secondary school retention rate increasing from 80% to over 90.3%, enabling Ireland to reach its 2020 targets on this some years ahead of schedule. Also, just to say, the Skills at Work programme is an excellent staff engagement tool, and over 6,000 employees within the companies involved have been engaged so far. So Marks & Spencer Ireland are the lead company sponsor of the Skills at Work programme, and in addition to being the lead sponsor in conjunction with the Department of Education and Skills, they're also themselves partnering with schools in Dublin, in Cork, in Kerry, in Tipperary, and in Donegal and in Galway. So it's just fantastic what Marks & Spencer are doing, and I have to say as well, it's fantastic to hear from Brian Hancock today and all that they're doing in sustainability. And CISC have in fact been partnered with St. Kevin's College in Crumlin for the last 14 years, which I think is a testament to the commitment of CISC. And then also fantastic for the students there getting a detailed insight into different careers in engineering and construction. So fair dues to CISC. Moving on then just quickly on business action on employment. This really provides employment training and work placements for people who face significantly high barriers to entering the employment market. So you'll see the logo EPIC there. That stands for the employment of people from immigrant communities. That programme is part funded by the Department of Justice and Equality and the European Social Fund under the Programme for Employability, Inclusion and Learning. And that programme is supported by companies that include Accenture, BT, Enterprise Rent-A-Car and CPL. And together with Business in the Community Ireland staff, they provide employment training such as CV clinics, mock interviews, motivational peer talks. And of the 2,500 unemployed people from over 100 countries that have gone through EPIC, over 65% have found entry into employment, training or education. So it's having a very positive impact. Then just a quick note on the Ready for Work programme. This is for people who are coming from places of addiction and homelessness. That programme is funded by the Department of Employment Affairs and Social Protection. And my colleagues, the training and employment officers in business and the community, as you can imagine, provide very intensive support to all of the clients there. Again, Marks and Spencer is the lead sponsor of the Ready for Work programme, in conjunction with Tesco, with Pennies, with Juries and Excel Recruitment. And of the 700 people that have moved through the Ready for Work programme, and again, you can imagine the intensive support that's required, over 58% have moved into employment. So it's having very significant impact. So moving in then to the just back to here, over on the left, the team that I'm part of is the advice and guidance on CSR and sustainability. And we do a number of things. There's not enough time today to chat you through them all, but I just jotted down some things on the slide. We'll talk about the mark in a second. You've heard about the UN Sustainable Development Goals this morning. Their goals to 2030, their KPIs for the planet. While there's 17 goals, there's actually 169 KPIs. And really for them to be achieved by 2030, it's going to involve a really strong collaboration and partnership in place between business, government and NGOs. And I think you'll have seen a moment ago from the Business Action on Education and Employment programmes, when that is in place, where government and business and NGOs are working together, it actually can have a tremendously positive impact. So we're helping the members of business and the community to map their business strategies against the global goals, and back to that C word on communication, that it's actually very helpful then for companies to see the progress that they're making and to communicate that internally and externally. We also facilitate peer learning for chief executives, CR leads. By CR leads, for those who aren't familiar with that, it could be a head of sustainability, head of corporate social responsibility, a corporate responsibility manager, and also heads of functions such as head of environment, chief procurement officers, HR directors. And we bring them together to showcase best practice, and we facilitate workshops on sustainable procurement, diversity and inclusion, employee engagement, community involvement and biodiversity. In 2017, we started doing training for companies on how to conduct due diligence in human rights. And this is coming further to the Modern Slavery Act. And also in November of 2017, the Department of Foreign Affairs here launched Ireland's National Plan on Business and Human Rights. So there's a lot of companies now having to get serious about being able to communicate what they're doing to make sure that their supply chains and their companies, their operations are free of human rights risks. Also, the non-financial reporting legislation was ratified in Ireland in 2017, and from 2018, companies now actually have to publicly disclose, large public interest entities have to publicly disclose how they're managing their social and environmental impacts, managing anti-bribery and corruption, ensuring that there aren't any human rights risks in their supply chain, and also managing diversity in their board of directors. Business and Community Ireland is the national partner for the World Business Council for Sustainable Development and CSR Europe, so we're doing lots on that front. And also we publish CSR News Ireland monthly, so if you're not already subscribed to that and you've got an interest in what companies are doing in CSR and sustainability, make sure to get on that list. You can contact me afterwards, my details are on the slide. Finally, to the specifics of the mark. So, as you can see, the independently audited international standard for CSR and sustainability. It's based on ISO 26000, the Global Voluntary Standard on Corporate Responsibility, and it's externally verified by the National Standards Authority of Ireland, the NSAI. This mark has been put together based on our 18 years of experience of working in corporate responsibility and sustainability. It is taking on board the best of the global standards available. We're big into stakeholder consultation and weaving in best practice. It covers 22 indicators across all of those pillars, which we look at in more detail. And really crucially, the mark provides external recognition for organisations who are seriously good in sustainability and responsible business practice. The mark essentially examines organisations' policies, practice and performance in the 22 indicators. As you can see there from the list, it's looking to see that documented policies and commitments exist, that internal and external stakeholders are consulted, that objectives are set, that KPIs are tracked and responded to, and that the organisation communicates its performance internally and externally. And also for those who are able to get extra marks, it's looking for examples of leadership within the sector as well. So, the 22 areas, as you can see up there now, are divided into workplace, marketplace, environment, community, and COR sustainability and stakeholders. I'll give you an idea of what's involved. So, if you like, there are 242 questions divided between policy, practice, and performance in each of the 22 indicators. For an organisation to pass the mark, they have to get 50% in each section and 70% overall. It's not an easy task, not for the faint-hearted, and it really is for those who are serious about sustainability integration across the board. You'll be interested in workplace to see employee communication, occupational health and safety, diversity and inclusion, flexible working. In the area of marketplace, sustainable procurement is, I have to say, a particular favourite of mine because it concentrates so much on how an organisation is able to affect positive change in the area of material sourcing and human rights. It's about being clever about quantity. It's about even questioning the need to buy. It's about optimising resources like we've heard this morning in energy, in water, in packaging, and actually optimising transport and logistics. Oftentimes moving, for example, from air freight to shipping can cut down enormously on greenhouse gas emissions. For me, the greatest opportunity in sustainability is within the area of procurement. Customer and consumer relationships are also part of the marketplace area. You'll see the typical areas under environment. Managing stakeholder engagement is a key area under COR sustainability and stakeholders, and community is centred on employee participation and corporate giving. So why do companies in Ireland go for the mark? They do it because they want to get an independent assessment of their social and environmental impacts, to get external recognition for their excellence achieved. They want to differentiate their company in a very competitive market, to enhance bidder status and investor interest. And you'll have seen that letter from Larry Fink at the beginning of this year, really talking about, in addition to financial performance, organisations and companies now globally have to show that they are having a positive social impact as well. Also, the mark is great for identifying operational opportunities and risks. So we've 29 companies certified to the mark in Ireland. You can have a look at the list there. Early adopters of the mark in 2011 would have included CRH, ESB and Intel. The companies most recently certified to the mark in 2017, Dawn Meets Carroll's Cross and RTE, and then PM Group, PwC, Sodexo and SSE. Certification lasts for 3 years. So it's a great cohort of companies, I have to say. And a number of them are going for recertification for the fourth time in 2018. Originally, our certification lasted for 2 years, but then we made it so that it would be able to last for 3. So in terms of the benefits of the mark, actually there are many. I just put together a few here. In a way, so much of the feedback that we get from our member companies who go through the mark is that they say it's a really wonderful opportunity for different parts of the organisation to get together to examine the business strategy through the lens of sustainability. For companies who go through the details of the mark, they get from business and the community a very detailed feedback report, basically a SWOT analysis on all of that they're doing on sustainability. And then we're able to give them a benchmark report as well that illustrates to them very clearly how they're doing vis-a-vis the average of the companies certified to the mark, and also to the highest scoring companies in the mark. And there's nothing like a company getting a number on a trajectory between 0 to 100 to see exactly how well they're performing, to be able to see at a glance where their strengths are but where their potential risks are as well, and then also being able to see how they're performing against the like of the leaders in the field in Ireland. So I have to say, while we have 29 certified, so many of the members of business and the community are utilising the framework of the mark to develop their sustainability strategies. Obviously, the information provided for the mark provides the core content for the company's sustainability strategy moving forward, and NSAI validation is a visible testimony of excellence achieved in CSR, and it does showcase the organisation as best in class. So I just thought you might be interested to hear from a couple of comments from those who lead the mark process internally. Just to take Christina van der Kamp there, who's the Corporate Responsibility Manager in Gas Networks Ireland. She said the mark was the benchmark for our CSR strategy. The gaps identified became the fundamentals for the strategy. And then for some leaders of these organisations, you'll see some quotes there. Let's just take the top two. Brendan Jennings, managing partner of Deloitte, said, "Increasingly in tender situations, we're getting asked questions about our CSR practices. The mark helps us to tell that story." And Clive Bellows, country head of Northern Trust, said, "We want to attract the best talent, and having the mark is a clear demonstration of our responsible business practices. It signals to existing and potential staff that we are serious about our corporate social responsibility." You can read the others at your leisure. So for those companies then that are certified to the mark, we now have a leader group, if you like, within Business in the Community Ireland. And these are the 29 who have the mark and who are really looking to go to the next stage. And we're bringing them together now to address common areas of challenge, to move beyond best practice and to scale up excellence as a collective, to bring about transformational change that is needed for Ireland Inc. I have to say it's an extremely exciting piece of work that Business in the Community Ireland is doing in collaboration with each of these 29 and as a collective. And ultimately the goal is to position Ireland as a centre of excellence in responsible business practice driven by proactive business leadership. So there's lots more to tell you about that. You'll be hearing more public announcements as 2018 goes by. That leaders group is also engaging with stakeholders such as the new UCD Centre for Business and Society, the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, the EPA, and of course our links through with CSR Europe and all that's happening there, and with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Just a quick note before I finish, just on the mark process for companies that you might know who might be interested in learning more about it. There's an application form that has to be completed. If an organisation has a publicly available materiality test, it may allow an exemption for some of the sections, which is good. Business and Community is on hand to give a range of support with regard to the information that's being looked for. An audit usually takes somewhere in the region of 2.5 days. The deadline for 2018 is the 15th of June. And we have a mark information session coming up on the 7th of February from 9 to 10 in Wynn's Hotel, which is going to give more information. A quick note, because I just thought it might form part of the questions on the cost of the mark. For members of Business in the Community Ireland, the mark is included in our strategist and leader streams. For non-members, as you can see, it's €10,000, and then the NSAI costs are payable separately to the NSAI according to their rates. So I just thought that would be helpful for you to see. So if you have any questions further to today, or would like to get in touch, you can see my details are there. And meanwhile, just thanks very much for your attention.